From Toronto, PHANTA Media presents the Not So Corporate Podcast.
So welcome to the Not So Corporate Podcast. It's May, and of course that means that the weather's turning nicer here in Toronto. We have the sun out, everything's turning green, and everyone wants to get their productions in before the busy vacation season starts in the summer. And so for us, it means that we're not only really busy in production, we're really busy in sales because people are starting to plan for their fall campaigns. So that ties in really nicely for us to today's topic. Today's topic is sales. It's something that a lot of us struggle with as owners of video production businesses. And really, we struggle to face this not solely in the video business. This is something that a lot of businesses face, and it's something we can learn a lot from other service providers. But before I get too far ahead of myself, I'd like to introduce the people joining me here today in studio. Normally, this is where I introduce Leah Earl, but of course, she's not here. She's in Hawaii.
She's changing diapers in the washroom.
No,
changing
Hawaii. Diapers. She's in Hawaii. And so I'll jump right into the next person, who you heard from there, who thinks someone's changing diapers, is Roland Echeverria, our head of production.
I'm changing diapers too.
All right, you're a 4-week-old, 5-week-old. We're just gonna 6 week. We're just gonna keep every podcast. We're just gonna keep updating people on your son.
I love it.
Fantastic. How's it going, Roland?
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
And of course, in the fourth seat, joining us today is Daniel Moskowitz. He's our strategic video consultant, which is just a fancy term we use for business development or the sales guru. Hey, Dan.
Hi, Mark.
Fantastic. So before we jump into today's topic,
Hang on. What you got there, Dan?
guys,
I have my Venti Mocha. It's triple, lactose-free, half-sweet, no whip, no
That's a
foam.
sales guy drink.
Mocha.
can't use any of this tape.
Why?
So before we jump
What's
ahead
best?
into
What's the best
today's
list?
topic, I'd like to catch us up on a few things that's been happening together. The initial podcast we launched 2 weeks ago, because this podcast schedule comes out every 2 weeks, saw a tremendous response. There were tens and tens and tens of people who listened to it, who liked what we were doing, who gave us a lot of feedback, I have to say, and we'll get to that towards later
I
on
have
in the
fans
podcast.
already.
You have fans?
Yeah.
Who's been writing you and mailing you
The
dirty
Twitter
underwear?
every day.
Let me know when you
The
get some
link to
groupies.
me.
Let me know when you get some groupies.
No, people have not been following you or anything. Have they? You don't actually do anything on social media. The last time you were on Facebook is like
I'm always on Facebook.
you don't post anything. You're just a stalker.
I'm just stealth mode.
Stealth
I'm like a
mode?
fighter jet.
Still waiting to see a picture of the baby.
It's coming.
Okay.
6
No,
weeks.
6 weeks. It's in
So,
development.
one thing that has happened is you may hear it. Like a week and a half ago, I lost my voice, and as someone who makes their living basically just talking, it can be a challenge to try and lead meetings and get through things. So I'm going to apologize in advance if I sound really crappy here today, but that's life, right?
But it was good in the office. It was nice and quiet.
Except for the hacking and coughing.
Well, yeah.
You made up for it, right, Roland?
I always went up for it. I put headphones on.
You put the headphones on,
That's
play
good.
The Killers, and listen to some Bruce Springsteen and just rock it, right?
Just got through the days.
And I have a door, so.
All out my sleeves and got there dirty doing the thing.
Roland, you want to talk about China?
Well, China, have you seen the news how China's building those man-made islands and just putting a lot of troops and airplanes, trying to conquer all that water?
I have to
Malaysia
say,
and
Yeah,
Asia,
value,
Indonesia.
hiking
great.
up their currency. It's amazing.
I have to say, so I have a friend who runs a manufacturing company where they produce stuff in China, so he's over there quite often. And it's interesting when he comes back and tells me the stories about what's going on over there, because they'll, for example, I've heard this from someone else too. If a sports team is over in China, and let's say they're, I think it was a curling team that was over there, and if the Chinese team is winning, then the TV channel turns on, and they'll be throwing some stones and they'll be doing whatever sport it is. The moment that they're winning, the feed goes live, and then the moment that it looks like they're about to start losing in the game, the feed goes dead. So can you imagine sitting?
The distortion field.
Well, can you imagine sitting there watching this, and it's like, oh look, it's back on. We have 2 or 3 minutes of, wow, we're doing really great. Oh, it's just gone dark again. Who knows when it'll be back on, if at all. 15 minutes goes by. Oh, it's back on again. What an anticlimactic way
I
to
wonder
watch
if the average
sports.
person just thinks that the country has really bad internet connection.
Anything else going on that's new that we can use, or should we just cut this all out?
China.
Anything-
Panda games are coming. Are you guys excited?
No.
Pan
move
Am
away.
Games.
Why?
I want to move far away.
Well, hold on.
If I could take a month off.
Why aren't you like those people in Italy that go to the side of the road and offer people like water and stuff? Welcome to our country.
I would rather be the guy who's sitting sipping margaritas in Vegas than have to.
Why margaritas though?
I don't know.
Daniel, you don't even drink, so like to you,
Non-alcoholic,
a
non-alcoholic
margarita
in Vegas, poolside, MGM Grand or something. Then deal with the traffic that's coming.
So hold on. What is a non-alcoholic margarita? Basically, it's what salt, ice, and
And
what?
syrup.
And
Syrup?
and some kind of blended fruit.
Yeah, blend syrup.
That's you're
soft
drinking you're
drink.
drinking like a slushy. That's what you're talking
Might
about.
as well go to 7-Eleven and get one of the big gulps.
Yeah, one of the big gulps. That's
I'd
what
rather
you're
spend
talking.
the $8 at
Okay, but hold on. You mentioned-
poolside
you
and have
mentioned Pan
Manuel
Am.
come with a little towel and
so racist.
Okay,
Oh,
so we
sorry.
got Pan Am, right?
Yeah.
So does anyone know what Pan Am is
Pan
other
American
than
Games.
okay, thank you. Other than
the
people
Parapan?
in Toronto,
no.
What's that?
what is Pan Am? For anyone who's not in Toronto, because no one else, I don't think. I mean, they had a great campaign. I loved the commercial that I think was done by FCB, and I think it won an award. But
You see there was another one, a new one that just came out. It was good too. No, I mean major cities all around the world compete for this. They compete for the tourism dollars. So there is an awareness out there, but I don't think as much as obviously the Olympics.
I have to say that I think the very, 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 very best thing to come out of Pan Am is the commercial. I think the spot was amazing. I think the campaign was amazing. I think the use of music was amazing. It won an award, which is fantastic for I think use of music. But I'm not excited about any other thing. I think the best thing to come out of this was already 8 months ago when they started advertising for the games. We have new pool facilities. We have sports and rec stuff. That is the lasting benefit. The fact that
cheap condos to come from the
village.
From the village, yeah.
Yeah, if we were working IO, I would buy one of those.
Yeah.
I was trying to get a hookup at.
what through Infrastructure Ontario?
Yeah.
Do you think the work we've done for them in the past is enough for them to warrant to somehow get you a deal on a condo?
No, I was hoping the relationship would continue. Talking to the client 3 years later, be like, "Hey, can I get a hookup?"
Yeah,
That didn't happen.
yeah. Oh my goodness! You know what? I don't know if you remember me, but I'm the guy who helped produce those live events for you where you talked for 90 minutes to a PowerPoint slide. And do you remember how we
No, we
rolled
don't.
those out? Remember how great that was? And remember, you may not also remember that my contacts have all left since then, and it's been 3 years, and now they're all working at different organizations. But with all that said, I would love a great cheap condo.
You know what I really need? We need subways everywhere. Subways because they're fast.
You mean Subway restaurants?
No, Subway.
They're a fantastic franchise. I would suggest that you
You should buy a couple.
Did you
Do you know that there's somebody that sued them?
for?
Somebody that sued them because the foot long is actually not a foot.
Oh, you're talking because it's like after it's baked, it's
After
like
it's
11
baked,
inches.
But because of the way they marketed it with no disclaimer at the time,
Yeah.
some grade 11 kid sued them for a couple $100,000
in America.
In America, only in America,
and he
they won. Yeah, they won. He won.
Are you living
profits.
a little bit vicariously through this story? Because it sounds like you're really proud of the kid.
I am. Sorry, I am.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, with that, first segment's done. Next segment, we're going to talk to Daniel Moskowitz
speech.
about sales. When I share my story in terms of how we started the firm, one thing that people always kind of gravitate towards is that in year 3, I think it was, I brought on a salesperson. I brought on Dan. And so everyone, when they hear my story, they say, okay, Mark, you're in year 8 of your business and you've seen some success and you've seen some challenges and you've seen all these things and that's great. But gosh, it sounds really good to bring on a sales guy. Obviously, you brought on a sales guy and he certainly helped you grow your business and change your business. And there's a lot of kind of nuances to that. And so I think a lot of people think of a salesperson as a silver bullet. They're running their business. They're maybe more editing focused, maybe more production focused, maybe more strategy focused, but whatever it is, they're running their video production business and they think, I need more sales. The answer to more sales is a salesperson. And in almost all cases, I would actually say that that's not true. And we're going to get into it a bit. We're going to unpack a bit of why that is and what to look for and potentially how to grow sales as we talk with Daniel. But I would just share that when I brought Dan on, so 6 years ago now, Dan, I think your anniversary was Monday.
Was Tuesday.
Tuesday. 6 years.
Yes, thank you very much.
And
Yeah.
so when Dan came on, I would say that because since then we brought on other salespeople and it didn't quite work out the same way. So I would look back and say, well, why bringing you into the business as in a sales role, why did that work? But why did other salespeople we bring in not work? And I would suggest that the answer wasn't because I brought in a salesperson. The answer was because we were an unmature business. We were young. It was early on. We weren't really that savvy. We didn't really know what we were doing. And so I didn't find in you a salesperson. I found a partner, someone to come in and help us shape the business, ask tough questions, look at it from every angle, help mature the business, our message, what we're doing, what we're saying, who we're speaking to, what we're offering. And so I'd be interested to know from your point of view whether, because you were the guy who came into a business that at the time was just me. It was, we're now at 8, 9 people, but then it was just me. I was doing everything. I was doing all the work. And I thought I was bringing a salesperson, but as I say, I really look back and go, I wasn't just bringing someone to do sales. I was bringing someone to help me grow my business.
Yeah.
Thinking back to that time from your perspective, what is your point of view? What is it that you remember?
Let's say it this way. So I was looking for an opportunity that was beyond just sales. So I had other opportunities that were presented to me at the same time, and I evaluated them this way, thinking, okay, where can I make the greatest impact? Where can I go that people will actually listen to my ideas and take action on them? And not to say that I know I have all the answers, but there's a journey that one goes on when you build a business. And what I saw in you and what I saw in PHANTA at the time was a diamond in the rough, and that had lots of great things behind it that we could leverage, and with some focus and some digging down and some rethink, we could really go far. And I saw that potential. And so I don't think of myself as a salesperson, as more of an architect of the process, the plan, the thinking, the methodology, of how we attack a project, how we look at another company and see how we can help them. And I think that journey was an amazing journey. And I think you were open to it, and that's not something that's rare. That is rare. Not a lot of entrepreneurs will give over to a process like that and allow you to come in as another person that's outside. It's not blood, not related, and is an employee, but give that person equal weight, good say, and consider. Also challenge back and have discussions and have positive round tables on things, but is that willingness to listen and act and consider and challenge and listen and act and consider, and that rinse and repeat until we got to the place of building the engine, building the process, building the methodology that got us to the place I think that we're at today.
And so let me ask you though. I'll first put out there that when I say that you came in as a partner, for some businesses you may need to bring someone in who's actually legally a partner, but you came in as an employee, and I own the business, but it was me in an office. It was like a 200 square foot sublet office with fluorescent lighting. We had no real equipment. We had not really a great message or a great website. I'd been doing it for 3 years, but you came in as an employee and worked with me, and we worked together to grow and shape what we've become today. Do you think so? Put yourself in my position 6 years ago. I'm a business owner today, let's say, who needs to grow sales, who wants to grow sales, who wants to do more work, who wants to do bigger work, who wants to do different work, and I don't know how to go about it. Would you say that bringing on someone in your role, in sales role, is the answer, or is it the answer with certain cautions, or is it not the answer potentially because they should be putting their time, money, and budget somewhere else?
Yeah, I don't think a salesperson is the answer. I think it's that you need somebody that's going to come in if you don't have it within you to do the things that are required to grow the business from a business development side. So if you don't have the skills to pick up a phone and speak to somebody, command a room, and conduct a consultative sales process with a potential client. If you don't have some of those skills, then you need to hire those skills. But when hiring that skill, I wouldn't say that looking for somebody who is that is a person that sells things or products that have set parameters, set widgets that they sell for X amount of dollars with this much profit. I think they need to have somebody that comes in who is used to selling service-based and through a consultative model, and can first evaluate the current sales process, the current mindset, the current assets, the current way that you deliver your service, and then figure out the optimal way to package that, and then try that on the market. And that trying and tweaking and trying and tweaking is the kind of individual that can help you grow. And if you are the kind of person that could, as a business owner, go into that process for yourself, then that would be the first place just to start, is by tweaking and packaging and repackaging and testing and seeing what works, and then either handing that to somebody when they come in and say, run with this because I know it works, or bring somebody in from a sales point of view that can help package and tweak and what I said.
And I hear what you're saying. I think a lot of people would say, I'm not a salesperson, and I'm not good at sales. I don't do sales. Like, Roland, I watch him interact with our clients, and I watch you sell all the time. But if I were to say, hey, go out and sell, or you're a salesperson now, I think you'd be like, I'm not a salesperson, so I don't do that. But I see you sell all the time. I mean, you're great at it.
Sales is really just a conversation. It's understanding what a person needs and responding to that. So, Roland, I think in a lot of the interactions we have with our clients, you know them so intimately in terms of what it is that they want to say, how they want to say it, because you're getting into their minds and going through that process of producing something for them. It's a natural for you to be able to suggest the next thing, or see an opportunity to do something even better with just a little extra budget, or spot the opportunities within that interaction. The hard part is getting that first project with somebody, and that's where a different mindset is required. But I think when you're in that role, when you're having those conversations, when your best clients or your current clients, your next clients are the ones that are already working with you, and as a quote unquote brand ambassador, you do a great job with that. So
as I think there are two types of sales. There is, you say, just having a relationship with someone, and really you're not selling, you're just trying to find solutions and help them with stuff. And with that comes opportunities. But I think when most people say, oh, I'm not a sales guy, is people always picture the guy that picks up the phone and knocks on the door and say, hey, my name is this, I'm here to do this and this and this and that. And then that's what people think of a salesperson. And really, a salesperson, I guess, especially in our business, more about someone that has relationships and is there to talk and listen and provide solutions. And it's not so much like, here's my briefcase of my 10 different products, which one you want and how many of them, is trying to develop this relationship. And that's probably the toughest part, is starting a relationship and getting people to listen to what you're talking about, and then hopefully engage you to help them.
And so what's a realistic expectation? I'm a business owner. I'm thinking about bringing on a salesperson. In my mind, I'm thinking, hey, they're going to do everything for me. They're going to grow my business. They're going to grow sales. They're going to grow revenue. Revenue is going to lead to more profits. Life is fantastic. I'm going to bring in this male. I'm going to bring in this female. They're going to do everything for me. But what is a realistic expectations for a salesperson from a business owner?
I think you need to think about marketing and sales as two sides of the coin. And so how you market and have your company perceived is different than the process of sales. So I think before you're in a position to bring a salesperson on, you're either bringing in somebody who has experience within marketing, and so they become a marketing and salesperson, or you figure out the marketing stuff first, and then you have a sales-minded person come in and leverage that marketing engine, that marketing process, what have you, and leverage that to engage with your clients. I don't think you can necessarily assume that every salesperson can come in the door and assess the face of the company, the marketing engine, how everything is packaged, and be able to massage that and repackage that so that it works for a sales process.
And really, so I mean, we've already kind of said this, but just to hopefully bring it back around. I mean, essentially, all that sales is finding someone with a need, helping them determine what that need is, and then the best way to overcome that challenge or service that need. I mean, that's it. It's I'm a client and I have an issue with brand awareness. Great. So what does that brand awareness, what is the world of that? What does that look like? And what is the best way to overcome that? And here you go. Or I have an issue with lead generation. Okay, so what is your need around lead generation? Who are the leads? What are the channels? Let's look at all the different aspects of it. How can communications or how can video help overcome that? And then here's the solution, and the solution costs X number of dollars. I mean, it's not really. I mean, there's a lot of nuance to how you go about it, but I mean, in essence, it's really just that. It's you have a need. Let me help you figure out what that need is. Let me figure out what the solution is for you, and the solution costs X number of dollars, and then deliver to it. It's not rocket science. So, I mean, that brings me around to Daniel. That's the way I see it. Is that what you do day to day?
The relationship building part of that and earning the trust of your prospect is the nuance that you're talking about. It's like creating that glue, creating the moments of engagement that transcend those steps. And sometimes there's lots of micro steps, and a lot of the times you're acting more as a business consultant or business coach with some people to get them to the place of truly understanding even within themselves.
Okay, but I'm a video person, so
right.
So how do I become a business coach? I mean, I don't have
Sorry, but that's what I'm saying. That's where
skill
a salesperson that takes a consultative approach, should be able to have a bag of tricks or a bag of knowledge, and they can apply that knowledge to those interactions. And it's, for me, it's about helping people and really understanding what it is that is an impediment for them to move to the next step within the process. And if that impediment is not understanding what their true values are, not understanding what their true USPs are, or not understanding how they do what they do and what makes them unique, and or that they don't even understand what to focus on, they don't know how to defend their own clients. If those are things that are impeding us to get to understand what it is that's going to be the best solution for them, then I help them. Part of the process of engagement is just to help them understand those things.
So then in terms of you're saying, helping people, consult with them and what have you, help them find out what they need and then find a solution. But how do you go about getting people that maybe they don't know they need something, but you need to kind of, pretty much what I'm saying is when people call, they already kind of want to talk to you in a way or not.
Let me jump in there. I hear that all the time from producers. I hear producers say, it is so hard to try and get a client to tell me what they need. And I say to them, it's not your job to get your client to tell you what they need. It's your job to help them come up with a solution.
I wasn't going there.
You weren't going there?
No. How do you get those people to listen to you when they're not calling you to say, hey, I think I need video? How do you reach out to people, build those relationships pretty much from nothing?
So lead generation.
You're never going to convince somebody that has not thought about video to the point of saying they want video and now come to you. Those are really big steps. And so really it's about making meaningful relationship, meaningful connections with just people. And that when the conversation that they may have with somebody else that they know that's talks about a challenge within their business, and through just talking with other people they learn that there's challenges that I can help them solve, then naturally they're going to refer. But I don't knocking on someone's door and saying, hey, what challenges do you have in your business? And hey, let me be the one to help you is kind of not how today's market really works.
But there is something to say that let's use a real world example.
Sure.
So when we're dealing with internal communications within an organization that has grown very quickly through acquisition, so client company has gone from 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, whatever. It's gone over the number of years. It's tripled, it's quadrupled, it's gone 10 times bigger in size because it's bought other companies. Every single organization with that challenge will have an internal challenge where the existing employees identify more with their original parent brands than the new brand. We see this time and time and time again. So it is one thing to say, well, you know what, I can wait for this organization to think that video is the answer. Or you can say, hey, market, we know that any company that grows through acquisition will have an internal communication and brand challenge where the employees from the old companies will identify better with the old companies than with the new company.
Right.
There's the challenge. And then you go and you simply find organizations who are growing quickly through acquisition and say, hey, do you have this challenge? Here is how video communications, here's how internal brand building, here's how culture building can help solve this problem for you. I mean, that sales channel must exist. It must work.
Then it becomes a packaging, and that becomes a marketing package of how you phrase and say how your company can solve that solution, and then you can approach those companies with that packaging or that blog post, that whatever it is that you have.
But we're not suggesting that it's enough to just sit there and wait for people to come to us, is it?
No.
But even if you have a challenge, though, if the challenge is very similar, the solution is always the same. So how is that a package, though?
The challenge is the same.
Okay.
You're not packaging the solution. You're just saying that we are a company that can help you with this. But at the end of the day, a lot of companies, unless it was their idea, they're not necessarily going to be open to engagement. But it takes time.
So what you're saying is we could approach these companies. We could say, okay, company, you've grown through acquisition, and you have these internal challenges, I'm sure, and they can go, yeah, we have grown through acquisition. Yeah, we do have these internal challenges. And then we'll say, video's the answer. They go, oh, great, video's the answer. And then we'll say, okay, now we need $25,000, or we need $5,000, or we need $50,000. And they go, we didn't budget that.
Yeah.
Talk to us next year.
That's where the time element comes in. Because if you plant the seed of need, or plant the seed of the possibility of what the solution can do for them, then through relationships and through a coffee here and sending them an article about something else that you saw, and then or helping them with a personal problem or what have you, that relationship will eventually build to something.
So you were saying that. What about those people who So we have those that come to us because they have a need. We try to figure out what the need is and provides the best solution for it. There's the scenario that Mark was saying. We know this happened. I know you have this challenge. Here's how we can help you. But what about those people, especially I guess it's more when it's business to consumer? We know they always produce some sort of brand awareness, product launches, whatever it is. But they're just changing the person that's creating that based on the solution they provide. How do you get to those?
I think if you see an opportunity within a marketplace where a company is continually putting out content with regards to a product line or service, then if you can approach them with a packaging or a way to think about their product that's different, or something that they may not have considered, then you add value because of your perspective and what you might be suggesting. If you're not adding any value, then you're never going to convince them to change from what they're currently doing, because obviously that's, if they're doing more of it, it means it's working. And they're not going to just simply say, oh, well, let's just take the same budget, same concept, and go to you.
You just reminded me of something that is a lesson that I think I got to post up here on the walls or something, because it's something that we always need to remember. The only thing people pay for is value. And so if you're just as good as the people down the street, then it's chance, it's happenstance that they might pick you over someone else. If you do pretty good work, even if you do better work, but don't go about it in a better way, if you understand what I mean, like you could deliver superior quality of work, but if you're a jerk to work with, if you're not really savvy, if you just don't really know what you're doing,
with aren't professional,
all of those things. If you just basically drop the ball, then it's not enough reason to come to you. It's not enough reason to stay with you. So, I mean, that's one thing that we've talked a lot about, and what we talked about early on too, is the fact that sales is every single communication and every single thing that you do with your client, pre-sale and post-sale.
Yeah, all touch points.
Just like marketing is. And so the way that you initially speak to someone, they call you, you reach out to them, they have a need, is certainly sales. The way that you onboard them, so the way that you handle their needs analysis, the way that you come up with their solution, the way you come up with their production plan, your proposal, your delivery, your the way you position your service agreement or your contract if you do one, or shake hands, the way that you set up pre-production. All of that is sales, because just because they've signed the contract doesn't mean that they won't pull the project halfway through if they get nervous. And just because you've gone through production and are delivering a rough cut, that rough cut that you deliver is also sales, because they may look at it and go, this is not at all what I anticipated, and now I'm very nervous and I'm going to pull the project and make sure that you don't throw good money after bad. And so, even delivery, even post-project conversations you have with the clients, every single communication with a potential client or client is an act of sales, because you're constantly earning their trust to deliver what you're delivering, and you're hopefully setting up the next project or the referral. So, I mean, everything that you're doing throughout, you should have a sales focus to, because it really, really matters, and it will play into your growth.
At every point, you need to differentiate yourself. And if you don't, then there's no lasting memory of the encounter, of the service. And then the next time that they have a need, they're not necessarily going to think of you in the warm and fuzzies. They're going to just think of you as just one other faceless supplier out there that's going to be one of many. And we do our best here to ensure that at each step, as you said, to make sure that we stand out.
What about Madman style sales thing, where it comes to just drinking,
Yeah.
partying?
Yeah.
And does that work?
God, I wish.
It's gotta work. Looks so good.
I wish.
Looks good.
I want the suits.
You can get the suits. Suits are in. Suits are back. You just...
You know what? That style of suit, though, not for me.
Those suits are good. So Dan,
Yes.
if I have no cash to hire a sales guy,
Yep.
what can I do? What can someone do to help them increase sales? So
Sure.
somewhere along the line, they can actually bring the sales guy in.
Okay. Here's the guru. Here's the guru side coming out. All right. So I think the first thing you need to do is look at your current clients and have a hard conversation with yourself in the mirror and say, how am I servicing them? And can I do it better? And by doing it better, by having better conversations with them, can I find opportunities that are currently there that I can then take advantage of? That's like immediately. That's something you could do right away that'll go from opportunity spotting in a way. The next thing you want to do is learn how to have better conversations with people everywhere in your life, but also your clients.
How do you do that? What does that mean?
Well, it's something that I try to practice a lot, but it's really about understanding how to, you and I talk about the glue, how to have meaningful conversations with people, how to have on a personal level, but then about their business, to ask them the tough questions about why, and be a little skeptical on their response, and dig deep and find out what it is about what they do, about who they are, about what makes them tick, so that you can then act on that knowledge, act on that information, and there'll be opportunities to follow from that.
I would also add to that, I think that's all great advice. Read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yes.
Year one, my business coach handed it to me, and it's little things like smile at people. Don't expect everyone to know what you know. It's really, looking back, it seems very basic, but the book was written in like the 20s or the 30s, and it still holds true today. Read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
There are lots of there's lots of books out there on how to have good conversations, how to spot people within your own sphere of influence and build from there. But really, I think put yourself out there, ask people out for lunches, coffees, ask people for help. People like to feel important, to be frank. And if you ask about who they are and what they do and how they do it, and you ask good questions and you ask good follow-ups, and people feel like that they're important or they matter, then they're more likely to help you. And when you ask for the help, they're more likely to be the person that gives the referral, be the person that suggests you to a coworker or a colleague or another division within a company. But really, and then I think looking at your business and how you present your business to the world, I think even just from a copy and that package, that packaging of what you stand for, or how you present yourself could make a big difference right now.
So let's look back real quick if we can. And this doesn't have to be from the moment when you joined our firm 6 years ago, but over the past few years, where would you say the areas are that you really challenged us? So you coming into this business with a sales focus, with a business development focus, what areas did you challenge us to get better as a firm?
I think like in the beginning, I don't think you even understood what it is that you do so well. And I had a sense of what it was, and that's why I took the job. But in that process of really understanding what PHANTA's value was in the eyes of who we're speaking to, and getting down to that core, I think that was a change moment. Challenging us to invest in marketing, invest in creating video for ourselves. I think one of the things I first said to you was, unless we live and walk, unless we live the life that we're presenting to our prospects, meaning video is the answer. Unless we have video promoting ourselves as a video firm, then that's something I think that initially required investment as well, but it was a bit of a mind change as well, that we needed to create those tools, create that engagement. And so we've done that, and I think the systematizing and processing the processes that we have in place of some of the tools that we leverage help to focus and ensure profitability at every standpoint. Because I mean, sales is it's great to get clients in, it's great to be doing work, but if the work isn't profitable, the profits are what drives these other investments that I'm talking about. The investments in your website, the investments in video tools for yourself, investments in doing things like what we're doing here today, which is this podcast. I mean, you can't make investments that matter in the business of trying to get more business unless you have profits. And so making sure that profitability is there in every project is important.
Well, and we've been speaking about consultative sales because that's essentially what we do and we kind of believe in and we think it's right. There's a lot of ways you can grow your business. I mean, you can grow your business off volume, and there's nothing wrong with that. We haven't really played in that space. You can grow your business off package pricing, where you're really simplifying things and just making it really, really easy for the client. We haven't grown our business that way. We like to be custom. We like to dig deep. We like to potentially overcomplicate things sometimes in an effort to deliver the very best that can be done. But it can be simpler. I would just, I was just reminded though of a conversation I had with someone, and off the top I was talking about how the people think that salespeople is a silver bullet, and how Dan, when you came in as a partner and not necessarily sales guy. And I was reminded of this again because a little over a year ago, we brought in another salesperson who had a consulting background, who had a fantastic fit, great personality, great skill set, in almost every way appeared to be perfect for the role from what we could see at the time. And a few things if you're thinking about bringing on a salesperson. One, you need to give them time. So you have to give them your time to bring them up onto speed. You have to teach them what they can. You have to give them time to learn the ropes, and you have to give them time to prove themselves. And so we had this great person on for 9 months. And a trap that you may fall into as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, is to say, well, I'm 3 months into this. I've just spent X number of dollars bringing the person on. They're not bringing me any sales. I'm going to let them go. We gave this person 9 months. And in that 9 months, we saw positive activity, but nothing came out of it. And so, month 2, month 3, you got to give them time. Month 4, month 5, month 6, you can be uncomfortable at it. You say, I've spent a lot of money over the last 6 months, but I haven't really seen anything about it. But it still might be too early. At the 9-month mark, it kind of became clear to us that it just wasn't working for whatever reason. And we, as unfortunate as it was, we had to let the person go, and we kind of didn't continue that experiment. But that cost me 9 months. So One, you might be able to overcome that by saying, well, I'm only going to bring someone in who is commission-based. It doesn't cost me anything. It reduces my risk as a business owner. Try getting someone to work for 6 or 9 months commission-based with no income. It's not going to happen. So you have to give a base plus commission or a salary or something, which means now, you know what, which is what we did. We had a very healthy base plus commission. So those 9 months cost us a lot of money. You know, it costs us the money of the headhunter. It costs us the money of our time. It costs us the money of the salary, of the mileage, of the lunches, of the cell phone, of the computer, of everything. And so, you know, let's put a round number on this without, you know, we haven't used any names, but let's say that, it cost us around $75,000. So that was a $75,000 experiment. You're a business owner. You have $75,000 that you're going to spend on something. Where are you going to spend that? Are you going to spend that on marketing? Are you going to spend that on equipment? Are you going to spend that on lead generation through Google AdWords or landing pages or LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube advertising or Google remarketing? Are you going to spend that on workshops or lunches, or are you going to spend that on giving people discounts or doing free work? Or are you going to spend that on hiring a salesperson who comes in and doesn't manage to sell anything? You have $75,000. What are you going to do with it? And that is ultimately why I'm so fired up or passionate about the fact that everyone thinks a salesperson is the answer. But when I share that story, and when I say I'm going to take $75,000 from you, and you can either put it towards marketing and then learn how to do sales yourself, or you can try and take quote unquote the easy route and hire a salesperson, just hand me the $75,000, just cut me a check and I'll consult for you or something, but you'll still get more out of it than potentially bringing on someone who doesn't do anything for you. And so it's just a really cautionary tale, because sometimes a salesperson is the answer, but not if they're solely a salesperson. That's my takeaway from this. If they're a partner, if they're going to help you grow your business, they're going to help you market, they're going to help you mature, they're going to help you do things, then you might be willing to spend the 50, the 80, the 100, the 150. It depends which market you're in. But it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And so you just need to make sure that you're putting it towards something that's actually going to help your business.
I agree. I mean, I think there are other reasons why that relationship or that individual didn't work out. But I think that having somebody that comes in with a partner mindset that is looking to not just grow their own pocketbook, but looking to grow a business, grow a company, and put the company's needs above themselves, because a commission that's based or tied to profitability, or just flat commission based on gross, or however you look at it, there's always a way for the salesperson to look at those numbers and play things to their benefit. And if you're able to create a structure that allows them to put the company first and make decisions, and maybe you want to take on a client at a thin profit margin because it's early on in the business, and that name associated with your company will do more for you within the next 6 months to a year when you're using that name as part of the marketing, as part of the sales conversation, than it is for that momentary boost. Though that's a strategic decision that would go against the commission mindset. And so, very quickly, I know within our relationship, Mark, we moved into a different model, because I was, proving to you that by making those subtle mind shifts, especially early on, was more important to the business than, me getting a little extra money in commissions at that time.
I was going to say, back to the salesperson, I think knowledge also plays. I mean, I'm a producer, so for me, I think knowledge has to play a part in the sales process. If you're a salesperson, you can consult, you can be a nice guy, you can have open other conversations, but you need to have knowledge of what you're trying to offer up and how it works. If you don't, then
but you're never going to be able to hire in somebody who knows video and knows sales unless you're direct sourcing from another organization.
Listen. If they know how to build a business and they know how to sell video specifically,
yes.
Why you got to think, why are they coming to you? Right? Like, I thought that as an entrepreneur. Why is Daniel taking a chance on me, because if he could do this, then he should be going out and doing this somewhere else. And so, I mean, quite honestly, that's what I'm thinking. If someone is so good that they're going to be able to build my business for me, then why aren't they already doing it? Right? And that's something you got to think about.
In my personal case, I had already gone down the road of trying to build a business, and it didn't go so well. And I wasn't looking to be a business owner or a partner on paper per se. I was looking for an entrepreneur willing to allow me to help them grow their business. And so that's a bit of a shift in thinking. Speaking to what you're talking about, though, no one's going to come in off the street knowing the intricacies of video. They have to learn that. What they need to come with is a knowledge about how to have the conversations with people to find out what their needs are, and learn about how video can do that for them. And so, how do you
get people excited if you don't know understand it well? How can you get people who are pumped about what you're selling?
It takes time.
It takes time to learn the syntax.
Ultimately, Roland, to your point, passion to help people, passion to market, passion for video, passion for communications, passion to shake things up, passion to be stylish, passion for something and vision. If you have a passion for what you're doing, whether that's consulting or marketing or video or whatever it is, that's going to be contagious. And if you have a vision for what could be, that's also going to be contagious. And so if you sit down in front of someone and you are so passionate that they can just feed off your energy, and you have a vision for what could be possible that you can communicate to them so they can buy into it, that's sales right there.
And the vision doesn't have to be this specific video for it. The vision is what that could end up doing for them, and what life will be like when they're using that tool. And I think, that's what gets me jazzed all the time in having those conversations with folks around the table, and seeing that excitement, and I are now, after 6 years, I have stories. I have stories of how we've helped companies. I have stories about how companies first came to us. I have stories that I hear that Mark has had, or firsthand experiences that I've had, or experiences that you guys have had within the process of production. And I can take those stories with me in my toolbox, and I can leverage them within the process. But that's like 6 years now of stuff that I can dip into, that well I can dip into. And very rarely you're going to have someone just come to the table with that well.
So, Roland, I'll throw it over to you. We've talked to Dan about the sales side of things, and obviously client-facing and this and that. But one thing we did mention, and what we really did talk about as well, is that every act that we do as an organization is, if you think about it, an act of sales. It's an opportunity to either lose a project, lose a client, make an enemy, or it's an opportunity to leave a great lasting impression, deliver really good work, and so on. So, we've heard obviously Dan's point of view in terms of what sales is, but from the production side, how important is maintaining the client relationship? How important is the work? What's really important on your side to make sure that you're still contributing to kind of like a positive sales environment?
Yeah, so from the production standpoint, I think for us, we always kind of strive to create quality and create something that is not vanilla, something that is some interest to it. Even though we might be constrained within the sandbox, we always try to find, or our aim is to always find a way to show something that is more interesting than just the standard, or than just, it's just a guy talking to camera about revenues on this quarter. We try to create something that makes it visually interesting, that gets the audience, which are client and the target audience for the project, engaged, but also as we go through it is having that relationship with Wear Contact. Yes. To keep him happy, to keep him not just happy to say yes sir, happy, but it's more like, I'm working with you at the same level. I'm here to hear your concerns with whatever it is or changes, but I'm here to help you, provide recommendations, and I'm here working with you next shoulder to shoulder to deliver something that maybe is not Oscar winning or whatever it is, or the most exciting thing that we're going to eat popcorn to, but it's going to do the job for you at that moment, and it's a project that works. So for us in production, we feel like when we do that, we help in sales, because
100%.
We see, maybe we feel like, well, we create this project, you guys can take it to meetings and showing it, people excited and pumping on the car.
Okay. So first off, I gotta say, you do amazing work, and being a sales guy, in a meeting and be able to know two things. The people behind you will be able to back up and deliver and bring it and deliver amazing work is a powerful position to be in. And two, having the portfolio that backs that up of outstanding work, you cannot ask for a better position to be in. And so by having those two elements together, knowing that that you can deliver it and knowing that we already have it to show, key, absolute key.
And so if I can just take a moment and, I was thinking about this topic leading up to it, and there's some things that we just don't have time to get into, but with certainly things that I've learned that have helped us sell. So first thing, real quick, when you don't have to deliver, it's a lot easier to sell. So when you are the person who is in front of the client and the client is asking for X, Y, Z, and you're going, oh, geez, how am I going to deliver? What are they asking for? What's going on? Do I have staff for that? Where's it going to be? Oh, my goodness, it's in this country. And you're thinking about all the technical stuff. You're going to scare yourself out of a deal. You're not going to sit there and go like, no problem, we can do this for you. You're going to go, shit, I have to deliver this. Oh gosh, is it worth it? Is it worth my time? Is it worth the sweat? Is it worth the money? Is it worth all these things? So as soon as you can remove sales from delivery in any kind of capacity, either mentally yourself or through other people, it's a lot easier to sell because I can come into a meeting because I know I have a team that's going to deliver, and I can go, oh, you want to shoot this in 5 different cities across North America? Sure, we can do that for you. I'm not the person who has to figure out how to do it. I have to make sure that it's well priced. I need to make sure that we maintain the relationship. I need to make sure that I have the team who can actually back me up and it's going to be profitable. But if all those conditions are met, no problem, we can do that for you because I'm not worried about delivering it. I have a team. My team shouldn't be worried about sales. They should have work to work and they should have a salary and they should have stability. They need to worry about delivery. I don't need to worry about delivery. I need to worry about keeping the sales up and keeping everything going through. So that's the first thing. When you don't have to deliver, it's a lot easier to sell. A few other things that you can look into right away if you need to, and these are just buzzwords, but you can certainly do research. 1, spin selling. It's kind of an old school selling technique, but it's basically you can look up the art of spin. Look into that. It's basically positioning. It's anything that a client says to you is something that you can turn around back to them. So, for example, I once was speaking with a friend who owns a website company, and a prospect said to him, "All of your websites look the same," which wasn't true. But basically what the client was saying, what the prospect was saying is, all of your websites have the same feeling, the same design style, the same layout. And the client was basically saying, hey, all of your websites look the same, i.e. you're boring, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that. And my friend didn't know how to react. Well, if you get good at repositioning things, if you get good at spin selling, if you get good at spinning things around, the answer isn't that they all look the same because it's boring or bad. The answer is they all look the same because that's the proven method that is statistically the most successful way to lay out a website. That has been proven to be the best design. And so it's just a slightly different way of looking at it. Either you're looking at them and saying they're all the same and i.e. boring and you're just mass producing things, or they're all the same because it's been proven that that's the most effective way to do it. So look into spin selling. And the next thing is sharing stories. You are a storyteller. You are a marketer. Share your successes. Share your stories. You don't have to name drop if you don't want. I love name dropping because, I don't know, I just like doing it. But I think it adds credibility. But, some people are against that. That's fine. But share your success stories. Deep, tap into your past life, into your past roles, into your friends, into the things that you've witnessed. For example, I just referenced a friend who owned a website company. That didn't happen to me, but I shared with you a story to try and illustrate my point. So share stories with your clients, learn how to reposition things through spin selling, and then the very last thing I'll leave you with is if you want to grow your business, if you want to grow your marketing, if you want to grow your credibility, concentrate on these 3 things in this order. 1, build your portfolio. Do everything you can to have as much work and as much variety and as much success as you can within your portfolio. 2, build your client list. The more clients you have that you're allowed to talk about, that you're allowed to share, the more credibility you'll have. And the third thing is build your contacts. So build your portfolio, build your client list, and even if they're not your client, even if they're not your prospect, build the number of people that you're friends with, that you meet. Don't hide in your basement. Don't hide in your office. Get out there, get on the street and run into people. And those 3 things, portfolio, client list, contacts will in the long term lead to growth. Okay, with that, let's move on. Coming up next, listener feedback. If you have a question or comment, we would love to hear from you. This is not supposed to be a one-way street. We'd love to interact. We would love to potentially bring people on in the fourth seat. If you have a question, if you have a comment, if you have a potential topic that you'd like us to cover, please drop us an email, feedback@notsocorporatepodcast.com. Okay, listener feedback. Listen, we had some really good constructive criticism from one of our listeners, Manish in Toronto, who sits like across the office from Roland.
That Manish.
Oh.
Yes, that Manish. He gave us some great feedback. So here's some feedback he had on the freelance episode. So he said he thought we were amazing. So let's get that out of the way first. Yes, we know we're very good. He had great feedback on the audio quality. We're working on that. But he would like to hear more about, when you're a freelancer getting paid, managing work life versus social life balance, working with bigger companies versus smaller ones, how to get better at your craft if you're not working so much. Really, really great feedback. What I promised him we would do is we would touch back. we'll have an offline conversation. No, I promised we would touch back on this topic at a future date. Certainly, it was our first podcast. It was our first swing at it. It was a bit of a beta test. We're looking to make sure that we're providing enough value without being boring. And so, you know what? We may have overlooked a few things. And we're fine with that. We will certainly circle back around on it. And Manish, we will make you happy in the future. Or we'll come over to your desk and have a conversation with you one-on-one.
With some Guinness.
Is it Friday afternoon now? Guinness Friday?
Why not? I'm going to ask questions? I'll ask questions.
Sure. Ask a question, Roland.
Okay.
Hold on. So we have no reader for questions, so Roland, you're just going to ask one?
Hit me with it.
Okay, Dan. So
Yes, sir.
if you're a salesman, what's
Yeah.
the best way to pick up the phone and make phone calls and get people listening to what you have to say?
Oh, that's such a boring question.
No, but he has
Yeah.
to answer in a funny way.
Have to answer in a funny way. Yo, how's it going?
Do you walk into meetings and you play a video and after, that's right, we did that.
Drop
I can do that for you.
Actually,
like-
I bring a mic in my backpack.
I think
and I just drop it every once in a while randomly and walk out the room. It works really well.
I think the Joe Booth approach is probably the better approach, which is to try and work in magic into your sales process. And I mean, he had like fistfuls of pennies, which don't go over well. But if you can work in flames, if you if you can make your presentation a presentation, then I think you're getting ahead in life.
Bring my daughter in a tiger suit and have her jump through hoops or something.
What? That was a very strange thing to say.
Weird.
Don't they do that in magic acts all the time? No.
Now, here's a question for you, Dan.
Yeah.
What do you do all day?
Just kind of wander from office to office, say hi, offer some coffees.
I did have a question written down earlier that we never got to, which is, what do you actually do?
What do I actually do?
I feel like we touched on
I
it.
get paid to talk to people all day and write the occasional email.
When you write a proposal, do you have a ritual?
I do.
light some
I have my command
incense?
center, so I get into command center. I have my big monitor in front of me with the two documents.
He lights. No. This is what really happens.
Okay, what happens?
He puts on some jungle music. some parrots and tigers in the background. He lights a few incense. And I've actually come in to see him chanting. He'll spend 20 to 30 minutes chanting, and then he gets himself in the mood, cracks his knuckles, and then the magic happens. He just types. Roland, let me ask you, now that I have you guys online and you can't lie to me, what's the most annoying thing Daniel does?
Daniel does?
Uh-oh.
There's so many.
And just from background, I just moved my home office
I think
to our new office, and so we haven't really been working in the same space for years.
I think the best one is so half-day productions, 3 days. I think we'll do it. Sure. What are we doing? That's
So-
Oh, you mean that one time I screwed up? That's the thing that annoys you about me?
You're just as good as your last job.
Right to the heart, right to the jugular, man. You just kind of
No, I think that the thing that sometimes annoys us is where
We're actually doing this right now. Cool,
Yeah,
go.
we're doing it.
Go.
It's when you
Therapy session.
when you come up with this solution.
Hold on, wait. I got a couch here. Lie down.
No, it's when
Okay,
you
go.
come up with this solution. And
Yeah.
we're like, what?
That's a big thing that we always struggle
Yes,
with here. Is,
yes, yes,
Is
yes.
when is the person in the sales role supposed to come up with a solution, or just determine the need, and then let the technical people come up with a solution?
I hear you. But you know what? Sometimes after 6 years of being on the job, you get light bulb moments in the middle of a sales process.
Except for
And then you say the caveat. You say the caveat to the client. You say, "Listen,
my team hates
listen, my team really hates it when I do this."
Anyway, the point is sometimes things come across our desk and we're like, who the hell came up with this idea? And then
So, okay,
and then Dan
but-
will go like,
No.
I did.
I
and
said
we'll
that
go,
that's what the client wants.
but does the client always
No. You're thinking of it wrong, sir. The
Does-
client, sir.
does the
Well,
client always
okay.
get what they want, or should they get what they need?
Oh, snap.
In some cases, in the end of the day, they get what they want. Give it to them.
A really big important thing for us is always to use each opportunity as a learning opportunity.
Yes.
What's some great screw ups that Daniel's made in sales that everyone can
this
learn
is
from?
Picking on me now. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
we actually already agreed to do this in advance.
Oh,
we had a
okay.
meeting about this.
Oh, I see. I just didn't know about it.
It's really different without Chris and Leah here, right?
Because it's do you have any theories of the man landing on the moon? Do you believe it?
Do I have theories about the man?
No, do you believe the man landed on the moon?
Our guest
Heck yeah.
last
Why?
time, Chris, is a
He's a
bit on the
skeptic?
paranoid side.
Oh, you can vote.
He doesn't believe
Okay,
that.
listen, the flag was being held up by wire. Okay, that's why it
has to
doesn't
do with
look like
it
it.
has to do with the radiation and the shadows. I think the shadows and the radiation.
Why didn't the Russians go then if it was so easy to go?
It wasn't so easy.
Hold on, I don't think the Russians were capable
The
of going.
Russians didn't have the lift capacity.
Yeah, hold on. If this was fake, then the Russians would have certainly beat them because they have like way more. Like there's all those weird porn studios and stuff. They would have just set up a moon landing over in Russia, would have filmed it,
The
and
Gestalt.
it just would have happened. Like,
Yeah.
if this was about filming Canada, we had a great documentary teams back then. We would have been on the moon too. Is that it? Should we call it?
Let's call something. What is exciting, guys? Come on.
The only thing I get really excited about is when people piss me off. And you know what? This has something to do with sales. I just thought of something.
Uh-oh.
So, I often, let's say once or twice a week, get emails from people who run companies, people who do stuff. And a common thing I get are two types of emails. The first is someone emailing me saying, I run a company just like you. I think you do great work. We do great work too, just like you. If you ever need us to take the overflow of work that you have, by all means, send it our way. We're ready to do your work for you.
Sure.
I get this type of email a lot.
That's so retarded.
Well, like people have good intentions, and I'm not going to say that.
So how do you respond to those emails, Mark?
You just don't.
I respond.
Should I start forwarding you the ones I get?
I respond one of two ways. One, I either really rant at them because it's a terrible sales method. Why? There's like one client budget. So hold on, that's the first type of email. The second type of email I get is, I have this brand new service that you can sell your clients for us, and it will give you more revenue streams, new profit centers. You could resell our services and make a lot more money. So in both of these cases, we need to recognize one thing. There's only one client. There's only one budget. For me to hire another firm to do our work for us presumes a few things. One, it presumes that we don't give a shit about the quality of work because we're just willing to outsource it to anybody, even if they say they do better work. That presumes that. Two, it presumes we have way too much work, and we have so much work that our team isn't even capable of delivering it, or we're not capable of growing our company. So if we really did have way more work than we could ever deliver, we would expand, we would grow, we would keep it in-house. And then the next thing that it presumes is that we're comfortable giving away work. Like we're comfortable sharing
Giving up
budget,
your
lowering
profits.
profits. There's only one budget. Everyone needs to understand this. If I'm reselling your services, whatever it may be, there is one budget. That budget needs to be split up for everything. And yes, in some cases you can go and upsell. But for the most part, we would be working our butts off and taking on a huge amount of risk to give away the revenue from the project.
How long do you give those companies?
How long do I give them? Well, to be honest, the majority of the people who are contacting me are people who have been running the company for a number of years, and I think they're at the end of their rope.
Yeah.
I think they're at the point where they're like, I've really given this a kick at the can. I know somebody told me low-hanging fruit. Somebody told me partnerships. Someone told me strategic partnerships. I'm going to go out and get a bunch of partnerships. Do that, but do that with like people who you're not competing with. I mean, like technically you're competing with us. We're very unlikely to give away that work, and it drives me crazy. Not because it takes my time. It drives me crazy because it's not savvy. It's like the first idea that pops into their head is I'm going to go reach out to everyone within my region and be there ready to help them do their work when they need to do the work. If that's the case, apply for a full-time job. Okay, with that, we're going to wrap up this week's podcast. Daniel, thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome, sir.
It's great to have you in the fourth seat. And thanks to my co-host, Roland. Thank you.
Hi.
I know we're saying goodbye now.
Oh, goodbye.
For Leah, who's in Hawaii, and the rest of the Phanta Media team, have a great day.
Aloha.
Toodles.
So, like, do you remember
lion sound?
jungle? Let's have some jungle sounds.
remember
Let's have some
jungle
jungle sounds and some parrots, and this is gonna be amazing.
that one.
And we
Put
get a
the foreign hat
brief.
on.
We get a brief, and we go. Who pitched jungle sounds?
Oh, no. You can't bring that up.
Why not?
No.
Who pitched jungle sounds?
No, you can't say that. Like, no, you have to cut this out.